In a bold and unapologetic statement that's already causing a stir, political commentator and Reform UK candidate Alex Phillips has called for the closure of non-Christian faith schools across the United Kingdom. Her message is simple but powerful. It's time to put British values, British culture, and Britain's Christian heritage back at the heart of our education system. And let's be honest, she's saying what millions are thinking. For too long, the UK has tiptoed around questions of national identity, social cohesion, and cultural integration. But the tide is turning. People are waking up. They're starting to ask why children in Britain are being educated in institutions that often prioritize religious or cultural worldviews totally at odds with our national values. Alex isn't saying it to be popular, she's saying it because it's a conversation we've avoided for far too long. Of course, we already know who will be in uproar. The usual suspects, woke politicians, left-wing media mouthpieces, and self-proclaimed community leaders will scream racism, bigotry, and every tired insult under the sun. But the truth is, this isn't about hate, it's about preservation. It's about ensuring the next generation grows up with a shared sense of identity and belonging. So the question is, do you support Alex? Well, let's have a watch of the footage and let me know in the comments. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. Have a watch.
And you've got similar policies being adopted in Sweden. These are sort of proposals that are now being looked into across Europe because we've realised what's happened with levels of immigration and lack of integration is creating social disquiet and disharmony to the point in which people are even starting to use words such as civil war, for crying out loud. Now, I think there is nothing wrong with defending your national cultural mores, your communal morality, and I think that that's what we need to be doing. I fully agree we need to ban the full face covering, which they've done in Denmark. I think that is absolutely right. I think that is a barrier for integration if you're not making eye contact. English language is vitally important. I think we need to look at the amount of translation services we offer. I personally would go as far as getting rid of faith schools that are not Catholic or C of E, which tend to allow children from other faiths to come in, because I don't think taking children away and educating them primarily in their own cultural context is healthy. And I personally would also go as far as banning the slaughter of animals that haven't been pre-stunned. And I'd say to anybody who says, well, we don't like that and we demand exceptions because of what we want within our system, this is our country. We believe in animal welfare. We don't believe that women should be shamed for exposing their faces. And we believe little children should all play in a sandpit together. Simple.
Liz?
I'm going to have to react to the piece that we just saw from Simon Reeves, because we're talking about forced evictions there. And that's the comparison that we are discussing today. This is really bad stuff for us to be talking about in Europe. We've been here before. And when I came in, what I wanted to talk about actually was the fact that in Denmark, they are prepared, they're quite resigned to paying 46% of their income on taxation. We only spend 34% here, so that in Denmark, of course, there is much more money within the public services to try and integrate into communities. But what we're hearing, and we're hearing it today from Alex, is this rhetoric of division. Of course, we must find a way to bring our communities together.
So how do you do that?
About a civil war.
No, I say other people have started saying that, and that's alarming. Rhetoric of division. I'm talking about making sure people are brought together and not divided.
You came on television and you used that term.
No, it's very clear.
She said other people had been saying it.
Reached the point that other people are warning of that.
There
That's
is
frightening.
a tactic of raising things and then couching it in that sort of term. But this language that we're using...
Do you think that there aren't divisions? Do you think that anything does need to be done, or you don't think that...
I think when we were talking about schools just now, you could equally apply that, and it'll be interesting next year with Reform's policies about Welsh medium schools in Wales, quite frankly.
What are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments. In other news, Nigel Farage's Reform UK would be the largest party if a general election was held today, a bombshell new opinion poll has revealed. YouGov's new MRP poll revealed that a turquoise tsunami would sweep large swathes of England and Wales, returning 271 Reform MPs to the House of Commons. Meanwhile, Sir Keir Starmer's Labour would suffer its worst result since 1935, with just 178 seats confounding the Prime Minister to an even more dire result than Jeremy Corbyn in 2019. However, Kemi Badenoch's Conservatives have also been left bracing for a near-extinction point fall, with the Tory rump collapsing from 121 MPs to just 46. The Liberal Democrats would also continue to make incursions into the so-called blue wall, with Sir Ed Davey leapfrogging the Tories into third place with 81 MPs. Despite Labour's success in this month's Hamilton Holyrood by-election, a revival north of the border for the Scottish National Party could ring alarm bells in number 10. The SNP would surge from 9 to 34 MPs under YouGov's MRP poll, putting John Swinney on course to emulate Nicola Sturgeon's far from glowing 2017 campaign. It was more positive for the Liberal Democrats, who would gain 9 seats, putting Sir Ed Davey's party up to 81 seats, ahead of the Conservatives. Meanwhile, the Greens and Plaid Cymru would see a boost, each taking 3 new seats to give them 7 MPs each, a record high for both parties. The SNP, meanwhile, would win back most of the seats they lost to Labour at the last election for a total of 38 MPs in Scotland. Meanwhile, the Greens and Plaid Cymru would receive a net boost of 3 seats each, taking their respective hauls up to 7 MPs. In its report, YouGov said that a clear majority would now vote for someone other than the 2 established main parties of British politics is a striking marker of just how far the fragmentation of the voting public has gone over the past decade. It added, according to our data and methods, 26% of voters would opt for Reform UK, 23% for Labour, 18% for the Conservatives, 15% the Liberal Democrats, 11% the Greens, 3% the SNP, 1% Plaid, and 2% for other parties and independent candidates. YouGov's political analytics director, Patrick English, added, just a year since Labour's election landslide, the party is on course to win fewer seats than it did in 2019. That a clear majority would now vote for someone other than the 2 established main parties of British politics is a striking marker of just how far the fragmentation of the voting public has gone over the past decade. However, YouGov warned the likely outcome would remain a fragmented hung parliament. Some 97% of simulations resulted in no party emerging with the seats needed to form a majority. 9% of the simulations saw Reform and the Tories secure enough seats to establish a Unite the Right coalition. Meanwhile, combining the seats secured by Labour, the Liberal Democrats and the SNP produces a majority in just 3% of simulations. Including Green seats brings the figure up to 11%, with Plaid seats pushing the likelihood up to 26%. And Reform UK's surge appears to have been the most pronounced in Brexit-backing Britain. Out of Reform's 266 gains, just 10 seats did not vote for the European Union in 2016, including Dumfries and Galloway in Scotland. A turquoise tidal wave could also mean Reform secures the most seats in the East Midlands, East of England, North East, South East, Wales, West Midlands, and Yorkshire and the Humber. Reform UK is also tied with Labour for control of the North West. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.